Yo, what's going on, everybody, man? Good to see you back. Welcome to 101 on Arsenal. Neomis in the house, baby. Oh, yeah. And
I
who'd
know
have thought? Go, go,
it's been
go,
a
man.
while. It's been a
It's
while, man. It's been a
it's
while.
been a
Like I'm
long
sorry I've been
while, man.
away, but yeah.
It's been a long way. I mean, first of all, how is everything going on with you? We've been keeping up with the events of all the weather that's been happening around there. It's been really, really bad, all the way from Green Bay, from Milwaukee, Chicago, up to Vancouver, everywhere, Ottawa, the British Columbia. Weather's been absolutely dreadful. How have you been coping, and has it settled down now?
It's settled down now, but that Christmas week was awful. It's the most amount of snow I've ever seen in my life. Like literally, snow was almost up to my knees with me trying to go to work and my sister coming like over here from the Bahamas, and it was just crazy. But now it's calmed down a lot, and it was an unprecedented amount of snow,
Yeah.
and just so cold. I think it was like minus 15 here at one point, which
Wow.
which is just crazy, absolutely crazy.
Wow. So, I mean, obviously, we've been mega busy over here with what's been
Yeah.
happening with Arsenal, and we're gonna go through all of that in a minute. We're gonna talk about the results and most importantly, transfers and the updates. But how's everything been going with you though? Has it been going well? Have you settled in properly now, or are you still struggling to find your feet?
No, I've settled in properly. Like life is, I think it's just kind of dealing with everything here. I think now the problem is that when it comes to like Arsenal and like just football in general, like it seems that I'm so far away from it all, and yeah, it's not the same being in England where you're in the thick of things and like football's part of daily life. Now it's like it's just not the same. Like it's not the
So
same being in London.
So let's first of all focus. Let me just write this up. Arsenal. Let me see. Now, Man City won today. Very disappointed. I watched the game at a friend's house in Cricklewood. I ran home. Merez came on and scored. But isn't it nice that for them, City can bring on Jack Grealish and Merez. They can
Yeah.
bring on 160 million pounds worth of players on in the 80th minute when the game's going down and players are getting tired and they're getting gassed. And against Newcastle, when we needed a change of pace, we had nothing to offer. So, and that's the quality, that's the difference in where Manchester City are to Arsenal. And Arsenal can fix that this month. If they go out there and get a couple of players, they can fix that. They might not be the quality of the guys we just mentioned, but they'll be of quality in some regard. But I was really disappointed. I thought Chelsea came out, they played well in the first half, they hit the post,
Hmm.
and it just didn't happen for them in the second half. It was just embarrassing, really, because just didn't look City didn't look convincing to me. And you can tell they're missing Jesus and Sterling. Then they just don't have. I mean, the trick for them is getting the ball into Haaland and then leave everything to him. But the problem is for them getting the ball into him because he's not part of the link play. He's not like Nketiah, like Jesus. He's a little bit more like Aubameyang. He's on an island. He doesn't touch the ball a lot outside of the box.
Yep.
And you can see that that's where they're struggling this year. That's where teams are starting to get hold of them. If it wasn't just for that one moment, the game would have ended in a draw. And they've had plenty of draws lately. What's your opinion on where City are at the moment?
I I think they're probably seeing that the like particularly like the loss of Sterling and Jesus has really like affected just the consistency with the way how they play, and now they're similar to like some of the other teams in the league trying to find a new way of playing with some of the new players that they have. And you know, guys like Grealish, like okay, on paper, like I think he's a very good, talented player, but at City he's been a bit meh. And guys like Jesus and Sterling were proven. You know, every time they play, you know exactly how they were going to play 8, 9 times out of 10. And I think that now there's going to have to be a bit of a period and a moment where they're gonna have to try to kind of make it work, which is presented a good opportunity for Arsenal and like this season. Who I just have to say, just because I haven't been on here for a long time, I'm very proud of Arsenal. They've exceeded my expectations. I don't think you ever hear me complain about anything what they've done this season, because it doesn't matter. Like where we are, never thought it. Ever thought it. I thought that they would struggle to get top four because of the fight for top four, but
yeah,
I mean, in another
people are scared of them.
Yeah, like in another 7 to 10 games, like it's over. Top four is secured, And I watched your review yesterday in regards to the Newcastle game, and like teams are going to change the way how they play against Arsenal, and that's the reward for being a top team.
Yeah, it is. I mean, let's say hello to the people in the chat here.
Yeah.
18 says, great to see Neomis back. We've missed
18.
him. Cam says, I don't think I know. You probably wouldn't have seen him before. Cam's a new guy to the channel. He says, we are his preferred option. He's talking about Mudryk here. But if Shakhtar says is Chelsea or nothing, as Arsenal haven't coughed up the money and they're offering just a large wage at the same, then he probably goes. I think at the moment, we just have to leave the chips where they lie. He's only played 20 professional games. If you throw 88 million at it, this thing could be Pepe all over again. It just does not. There's nothing to give you. There's nothing in the world. I mean, they're talking about now, and I'm going to come and have a look at that in a minute. They're comparing him to Anthony. Anthony was a developed player.
Yeah,
Jack Grealish was a developed player, and it was a contract clause for Grealish. And this guy is a pup. This guy's a little bit like how Ben White was. Ben White had played 37 Premier League games before we bought him. Came from Leeds to Brighton, very inexperienced, looked good, England international, but he hadn't arrived yet. He was just a good, solid player. And we got him for a fair price, 50 million, which some people thought was a bit expensive. But that's how much, when you look at what Man United played for Maguire and all that, 80 million, and Liverpool played for what's his name, Van Dijk, 75 million. We didn't do too bad. We got Saliba for 27 million, and we got him for 50 million. So imagine those two guys for the same price that Liverpool paid for Van Dijk. I think that's fair. But with Mudryk, no, 88 million. That's a big no. That's a big no, bro. Big shout out to Kez. Kez is saying, evening, gents, evening to you, Kez. Kez is saying, City have lost that sparkle and they're there to be got. A 5-point gap it's not anything big because they've got to play Spurs. They've got to play Spurs twice. Spurs have beaten City 4 out of the last 6 games. So Spurs have just got their number. And I'm not asking them to beat them again. I'm just saying City will drop points. I have no two ways about it. They've got to play Man United. They got to play us twice. City are not going to come out of this with 5 wins. If they do, I'll heat my hat. I really would. I think Arsenal will struggle in a couple of games. But at the end of the day, taking points off City and watching them dropping points, that's what the key is for us. G saying, City look normal, Newcastle look better. Yeah, I think they do. I think they do. Let's just let's move on at the moment now because it is late. I don't want to keep Neomis too. I don't know. What's the time over there, Neomis?
No, it's coming up to 3 p.m.
Wow. Okay, so Gabriel Jesus, let me just put this through here so I can put him up. Gabriel Jesus, and then we can talk about Mudryk. Gabriel Jesus, let's get a picture of him up here. Jesus, here he is. Right, so Jesus, guys, looks good at the moment. He uploaded a video to his Instagram page showing rehabilitation. His rehabilitation was can be seen on a clip, hobbling around the gym, wearing a brace on his knee. Jesus, he did plenty of exercises. He was lifting weights, stretching his injured knee. And look, I said before that it's not going to be March and it's going to be back in February because of stuff I've heard from inside sources at the Emirates. And it looks for me like we're in the beginning of January. And he definitely looks like he's back on track. That's what it was before. You can see the knees heavily braced here. And then here, the brace is off. So there's completely nothing on, and he's rolling the knee right now. So he's just measuring the tension on that knee. He's doing some hops on there. He was also doing Pilates on there, getting some weight on it. I do Pilates every Wednesday, so I know what that looks like. And you can see here, this is the crutches. Obviously, today was a big thing because he's off the crutches today. They reckon that by end of next week he'll be doing light running, which is what I've been told. So I'm going to stand by what I said and say that he will be returning in February, and it won't be March. It would be 2 months out, and in regards to 3 months. Good news, Neomis.
Yeah, I think it's great news. Still, we should bring in another attacker, even if that means that Gabriel Jesus comes back like 100%, like middle of February. I still think that we do need just one more at least. But great news for him.
Yeah, because we know the point was, we talked about, let me get rid of this now. We talked about the fact that City today brought on £160 million worth of players. They had Grealish off the bench, and then they was able to bring Mahrez on the bench, and both of them combined for the winning goal. And that's what you do as squad depth. That's how squad depth is able to transverse your title chances and can turn draws, tough draws like that, which we had at Newcastle. It can turn them into 3 points. And we don't have that at the moment. We have a fantastic first 11, probably a better first 11 than City right now, in my opinion. But City just have the squad. And I think that that's where we're missing out. And what really gets me is, look, we're 17 games into the season and there's 21 games left. And our depth is a big problem. I know when Jesus comes back, that would be great. We're getting Smith Rowe back next week, and then we're getting Nelson back in a couple of weeks. So those 3 players alone will make a huge difference to how we play. But we just need, at the moment now, an extra cover, an extra man in those positions. And then there's nothing in the middle for Thomas Partey. So I'd like to see something come in there, whether they pull the trigger and go in for Douglas Luiz again. I don't know. If they do, it's going to be more than 25 million because he signed an extension. Are they going to wait for Tielemans? Is that going to happen? He wants to come there. They already sorted personal terms out last year, March. That's 10 months ago. But, right now, they just don't want to give up any money for Tielemans because Tielemans is yours in the next 5 months for free. So it almost seems like, if you throw 5 million, 10 million or anything down, they tried that and Leicester wouldn't go for it. So I don't think that that's going to happen. That's going to see itself through. So for me, if you want to win the Premier League, you're going to have to put some money into the kitty. And Arteta should be keen to take advantage of his team's position, in my opinion. You're at the top of the table. The strength in the squad should make its way through. We've had 2 bids for Mudryk right now. In the first one was 40 million and 60 and 20 million add-ons. The latest one was 50 million and 20 million add-ons in euros. So cash-wise, it works up to 62 million guaranteed. So that's where we are at the moment, guys. What happened today? The manager was at the Chelsea-Manchester City game. He had lunch, actually, with Eduardo, Arsenal's original Eduardo, who broke his knee. He had lunch with him before the game. Obviously, he used to play for Shakhtar, didn't he? So he just met up with a couple of the players there. And then this is the latest from Shakhtar. The latest that we have now is the director says, we are not in a hurry to sell Mudryk. We don't need the money. I think that's a lie. That's just politics. They do need the money. So don't anybody not believe that they do need the money. They're saying we consider Mikhailo stronger than Anthony, which is rubbish. This is like if Donald Trump was a club owner, this is the kind of message that you'd be listening to. It's just not true. They do need the money, and he's not better than Anthony. Apollo, and they're saying, so you can understand the value. And he's saying the price tag is clear. So essentially, guys, if they're not moving from 88 million, this deal's not going to get done. You know what I mean?
This deal should not get done. I like. I've seen Arsenal's transfer business in recent years, and Arsenal have a sweet spot when it comes to doing business, and it's anywhere between 15 million and 50 million, and they get it right. Like you said, like I don't want to see another Pepe. Like if you're gonna spend 60, 70, 80 plus mil on a player, he has to be proven. It cannot be on someone that may be really, really good. And even then, it's going to take too much time. Like you put out another video yesterday talking about Joao Felix, and I couldn't stop clapping because I'm like, okay, like the bad part is that's a loan fee of I think like 15 or 20 mil, which is high. But I'd rather pay a high loan fee for a guy to come in for 6 months, proven quality in a position where he can play up front and he can play out wide. Like, and you're talking about potentially winning the Premier League as well. Like I'd rather pay a little extra there, but for 80 mil for an unproven guy, like it's a no. I hope it doesn't happen, and I know everybody in the Arsenal community really wants it, but it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean the consensus is that he's just so raw. People are comparing it to, Pepe at the moment, and saying, look, this guy is smashing up his league. And even Pepe was more well established than Mudryk. Mudryk has not played a lot of games. He just hasn't. Yeah, he just hasn't played a lot of games. Vin Diesel, same family. Mad things. Big shout out to you, bro. Andrew's saying, what's going on to Neomis? It says, are you still a jinx for Arsenal?
I hope not.
Well, he better be, because we're 5 points clear, so I'll take that jinx all day. Jamzor says, yo, mate, just popped in. Say hi. Hope you had a good Christmas. And yeah, you too, bro. And guys, if you're not subscribed to his channel, you get all the Arsenal fans' reactions on his channel. You get my channel on there, AFTV's on there, DT's on there, everybody's on there, Deluded is on there, and he does all the reactions to the goals and everything. So if you're not subscribed to his channel, please get right over there and hit that like button for him. He says Mudryk to join Chelsea, hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, I mean, that would put the nail in the coffin for the player as well, because I did say in my video yesterday that what they're going to end up with is a situation with Rafinha where Rafinha's going to be like, you can agree whatever deal you want. I'm not signing personal terms. And if I don't sign the contract, you can't force me. You can't hold the gun to my head and make me sign for Chelsea Football Club. And I think that there's a reason for that. So with Arsenal, you've got the front three. You've got Nketiah, you've got Saka, and you've got Martinelli, and then Odegaard is behind them. The only depth you've got is Vieira, who they didn't play because they felt he would be lightweight in that game. So that's nice, isn't it? That was useless. Spending 37 million on a player, on a quality player, mind you, and then when you need him the most, you don't play him because you're saying that's a game where he could have got pushed around in. You sourced him. You scouted him. So, and look, I've seen way more lightweight players than that come on and prove themselves in it. Look, he was lightweight when he got all them goals and assists. Yeah, for Porto. He was lightweight then. He was lightweight when he was in the Champions League running rings around players. He was lightweight then. So I don't buy into the lightweight. Sorry, I don't do that. Everybody says guys are lightweight, guys are too small, and we've seen tons and tons and tons of players. Look how small Kante is. Yeah, and I know he plays heavier than he looks, but he's small. He's thin. Yeah, not as thin as Fabio Vieira, and he's tiny. What is he, 5'6", 5'7"? Yep. So I don't go for all of that lightweight stuff. So my point is that you've only got the Smith Rowe, the Jesus, and Reece Nelson left, and that's not good enough. Listen to Chelsea. Why I think that he's not going to Chelsea is because, first of all, Chelsea's not in the Champions League. There's no guarantees they'll be in the Champions League next season. They lost today, so they're hanging around in 9th and 10th, and they're way off the pace. So if you sign for Chelsea, guess what? No Champions League. Arsenal are top in the league at the moment, so you'd be moving to title contenders. Yeah? And there's guaranteed spots for you You can line up so many different ways. You can line up in a 4-3-3. You can interlink within Martinelli. You can play on the left in a 4-4-2. You can do anything you want. And not just that, but if he signed for Chelsea, he'd be going to a team that's got Ziyech, Havertz, Gallagher, Chukwuemeka, Zakari, Borja, Sterling, Hutchinson, Aubameyang, Fofana, Mount, Pulisic, Loftus-Cheek. I mean, come on, guys. We're talking about Arsenal can integrate him and he'll play. If he goes to Chelsea, there's 10 players in front of him with more experience. 10 players.
Yeah.
There's 10 players in front of him. So I don't get that. I don't get why he would sign there. And look, this guy is swinging his hips and doing calypsos to Arsenal right now. He cannot stop posting on social media about him and Arsenal. So I just don't buy into the Chelsea thing. I think it would be another Rafinha. I think that Shakhtar would be greedy, accept a bid from Chelsea, and then the player would just turn around and say, nope, not having it.
He's gonna be right there at Shakhtar unless they bring down that price.
And I think this is Kez again. Ken says, I think we need a different type of target man, a winger, and cover for Partey. Yeah, and again, the guy I wanted them to go for was Gakpo, and they could have got Gakpo. They could have spent 37 million and got a guy who plays left, right, and through the middle. Yeah. And he would not have cost you. He wouldn't have cost you nothing. 23 years old, and one of the stars of the World Cup. Ran rings around us when we played them in the Europa League, in the tables, and I just can't understand how they didn't let him go, even if he could be another option, guys. Just Mudryk and Gakpo, just bring them all in, because like I said today, Man City brought on Grealish and they brought in Mahrez, and both of them won the game. And that's 160 million sitting on your bench. So don't nobody come and tell me that we can't afford to get Gakpo and Mudryk. Yeah? Don't nobody tell me that, because I'm not going for that. And then you can still get Tielemans. Yeah? So, look, man, I'm not buying it. But Chelsea's got 10 players. Is that 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Sorry, that's 12 players. I counted 12 players. So Chelsea already have 12 players ahead of Mudryk, with more Premier League experience and no Champions League.
They don't need him. Like Chelsea are only in this just because Arsenal are in this. They are just trying to stop their competition from getting like good players.
Yeah, and for Arsenal, that means Arsenal's owners have to make a decision that they're not going to get into a bidding war. And from what I've heard, and it has been reported, Arsenal are not going to go into a bidding war. They're not. I mean,
that's the right decision.
Yeah, it is. So the plan B. So really, what's plan B, guys? Let me go through some of your comments first. G says possibly, but no guarantees. Let's see what happens. I mean, they are more or less a mid-table club right now. Chelsea must be talking about. They are hardly an attractive proposition. Yeah, they're not an attractive proposition. This Vin Diesel thing is killing me right now. Yeah, imagine everybody if that was the real Vin Diesel.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, we move on. G saying, and most have seen him play, and he's not currently a top player. Look, no, he isn't. He's not been regarded as such. And for Chelsea, all they've done is they've sat down, they've let Arsenal do the scouting, and they've gone, all right, we'll just sit on the fence and see if that doesn't work. That's Chelsea's tactics. They're looking at Man United, they're looking at Spurs, they're looking at all these guys who, if the talks break down, we'll be the first to jump on them. That's all they're doing. They probably don't even know the player or the values of the player. They probably never even scouted him before. It's all, the work that Arsenal have done, and they want to look to capitalize on that as opportunists. And Cam says, there is a general perception that he is the next big thing without anyone watching him much. Also, the fact that it appears that he was certain to come here and Chelsea hijacked it at the last minute. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, that's really down to the player, though. If the player says no, it ain't going to happen. Always three parties in a transfer. Always three parties. The buyers, the sellers, and the player. And you need all three of those things to go right. Otherwise, it will break down and capitulate like a pack of the cards. Andrew says, where is Neomis? Neomis is in Canada, bro. You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Canada, man.
Vancouver, man. Like I'm unfortunately I'm away from the football essence and just around, man. I'm starving over here.
Yeah, man, for real. Now, Hadumi says, Apollo, what's going on with the Mudryk deal? Apparently, Shakhtar reporting to. Yeah, I was just saying at the beginning of the stream that he was at the Chelsea game today. He went and met a couple of ex-Arsenal players for dinner, including Eduardo, who broke his leg for us. He also met another ex-Arsenal player. I can't remember who he was off the top of my head. So, yeah, he was just touching base with the old ex-Arsenal players and then talking to them, you know, about what was going on with the game tonight and about Arsenal. So I think Arsenal are going to cool it from here. And I think they've made the best mid that they can possibly make. 62 million for this player, I think, is more than enough. So for them, they're going to leave it in the player's hands, in the club's hands, and the player as well. So the player's got to go to them and ask for a transfer, which players don't like doing. But when push comes to shove, players can be forced into that situation. And if I was him, I would do that. I would absolutely do that. I would go to them and say, I request a transfer to Arsenal Football Club. And, you know, you got to make it untenable. It already is untenable because, like I said, he's shaking his belly button in a grass skirt on social media with Arsenal flags, waving Arsenal flags around. And, you know, he has done everything outside of wearing an Arsenal jersey, which I think is probably coming next. Yeah? Don't be shocked if this guy puts on an Arsenal shirt and starts floundering it on social media because it's getting to that point. Yeah? You sat down with Zinchenko's wife in an interview and said, hopefully our next interview would be me playing for Arsenal.
Oh my God. No.
Imagine how your club must feel if you've gone and said that. You know, we know he hasn't traveled with them. Their first game's next week. And they had their first practice today. He weren't there. He never turned up. So something's going on. But I think that the owners, they're just doing a Donald Trump and they're just trying to you know, who even knows if the Chelsea thing is real? Yeah, I mean, I know Fabrizio has reported it, but who knows whether they're just using that as a way to get Arsenal to put more money? Because it's worked. Arsenal put in 40 million with 20 million add-ons, and they've increased the money. They've increased the bid, so it's worked. Whatever's happened, Arsenal have put in a second bid, so it has worked. But it's really just for Arsenal to show professionalism and say, this is it. It's getting into silly season now. It's getting beyond ridiculous. This is more than enough for what the player's worth. I don't know what you lot are looking for. You're in financial despair as well. Yeah, we've your books has been reported in the news. We know you guys owe the bank money. So that it is what it is. This is Kez again. Kez says, I actually think Arteta should have rolled the dice and played the players that we had. This is what I'm saying. You could have played Marquinhos out for Saka. You could have put Fabio Vieira on, but he just didn't do it. He just didn't want to do it. And the problem is now is Nketiah hasn't got a backup. So Nketiah played a full 90 minutes at Brighton, a full 90 minutes at Newcastle. There's even talking about him playing against Oxford because we don't have a striker.
No. Apollo, time out. Like, none of that first team should play against Oxford. Play the bench and youth players. Like, forget the domestic trophies now. Like, you just don't have the depth for them anymore.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, they might play Gabriel because they don't have another centre-back, do they? So they might play Gabriel. And unless they put Cedric... Yeah, and put Cedric Soares right back. Yeah. And right now, Fulham came up. We had 2 meetings with them, from what I'm aware from my sources at London Coney. We had 2 meetings with them, and they didn't even put in a bid for Soares. There was no bid. So they're just saying, you know, the report that they had was he's too expensive. and they played this with Bernd Leno, and we let them off. Don't do it again. If you can't afford Cedric Soares, he's 31 years old, Portuguese international. You know, if you can't afford him, then go ahead. Move, because he's more valuable to us. If Tomiyasu got injured, and what would we do? If Ben White got injured, what would we do? We'd all be saying, they mismanaged it. They don't know what they're doing. The club, they've lost their head. We could have, you know, so I know you guys. I've seen you guys do it. The fans would just scream saying that it's mismanagement. They don't know what they're doing. So if they're not putting up the money, guys, keep him. If they're not putting in the money, keep Soares. But for me, guys, I think that right now, if I'm looking at the team, I would probably say it would be Turner in goal, Gabriel, Rob Holding, Tierney, Tomiyasu at right back. I mean, I wouldn't play Gabriel, to be honest. I would do what I said and play Soares and then Tomiyasu at centre back. And then I would go with El Nene and Sambi in the middle. I'll go with Fabio Vieira at the at the 8. No, at the 8. I'd put Smith Rowe at the 10.
Okay, yeah.
Even though, you know what, I don't rate him at the 10, so I'd put Smith Rowe at the 8 and put Vieira at the 10, so that makes a little bit more sense. I'd have Marquinhos on the right. On the left, oh my word, what do you do on the left? Oh,
because Reece won't be back by that time, will he?
No, Reece is another 2 weeks away. And then you got no one in the middle. So you got no one on the left and you got no one in the middle. Unless you go with one of the academy guys, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Like, listen, it's like, I don't know Oxford, but I know I think they're in League 2. Like, just go with that. Like, Arsenal should not devote too many resources to Oxford United. Like, Europa League is going to be about in the next few weeks, and that alone is going to be taxing on this squad.
So, guys, let's talk about Plan B.
Yes.
So, where are we on Plan B? Plan B, for me, guys, you all saw my video on the channel yesterday, and I made one thing clear. Felix is one player that Arteta had on his shortlist, and Atletico are willing to sell the player. There's no sell clause in there, so you can do what you did essentially with Martin Odegaard. You can take this guy for 6 months, feel him out a little bit. If he fits into the system, then that would be just great. The language, there's no language barrier there, even though we're talking about Mikel Arteta, who knows how to speak 7 languages, so he ain't got no barrier anywhere. But I think to have him on loan for the remainder of the season, and he's out of favour with Diego Simeone, so they can't wait to get rid of this guy, and we can use that against them by lowering this loan fee. 15 million for the fee, 6 million on salaries, 21 million. If you get that down to about 15 million, pull the trigger.
Yes.
And the reason why I say that is you got to pay the 6 million because that's his salary. You can't get away from that. But the 10 million, guys, remember, we got Dani Ceballos for 12 million. Yeah? That loan cost us 12 million. He was so degger in the first year that we took him another year, and guess what? They said, no, you can have him for free. No charge. So we paid 12 million on the first Dani Ceballos loan, and the second year there was no fee at all. We just paid the wages. So I think that you get this player, and guys, he's a better player, a more proven player than Mudryk. And he can, unlike Mudryk, who plays on the left, you can play Felix everywhere. Guys, if you've seen him play, he just terrorizes. He's so good in the ball. He's so good in transition. We talk about the way Thomas Partey can pick up the ball in the midfield, hold his back to a player, and then move the ball on in transition to Odegaard. He can do all of that, but he can run with the ball. He can dribble. He can go out left. He can go out right. He can play as a number 9. I really like this player. And if you've got money to spend, offer them 80 million. The only reason why you're not putting 8 million up for Mudryk because he's not worth that. Felix is worth that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Felix is worth that, guys.
Easy.
He's worth that. So if it was me, I would take him for a 6 month loan, and then I would say to them in the summer, look, guys, we like him. We'll offer you 80 million euros, which would be around, 68 million or 69 million. That's what I would do if I was Arsenal. That sounds like a more bona fide, proper plan B, because you've got somebody who can not only play on the left, but he can be in relief on the right for Saka. So you can be in an instance where if Saka's gassed, you can take him off, move Martinelli to the right, put Felix on the left, put Felix on the right, put him through the middle. Eddie's got no backup at the moment. So even if he came to the team now, you wouldn't drop Eddie because Eddie's goals is just too much. Eddie's goals per minute is the best in the team over 90 minutes. You have to play Eddie. Eddie going to score you goals. But when Eddie gets tired, you got nothing. Yeah? When we're playing in the FA Cup, in the League Cup, or even in the Europa, you've got no rotation. None. So Felix would take care of all of that. Mudryk wouldn't be able to do that. Mudryk wouldn't do that for you. To an extent, the only person that we can play in relief of Eddie would probably be Smith Rowe, because Smith Rowe can come through the middle and play as a point man. He doesn't like to, but that's part of his, job. Holding the ball up, being creative, running late into the box. He can do that for you. He can take care of 10 or 15 minutes in relief of Eddie. Right now, Eddie's getting no rest. So I think, what's your thoughts on Felix, Neomis?
I really like him. And it's not just the fact that Arsenal have been interested in him. He's been a talented player from the time that he even was rumored to be going to Atletico Madrid. Like he's only 23, and he's going to go for far less than what Atletico Madrid paid for him. I heard he's got like 3 years left on his deal. And Atletico Madrid, they similar to Pepe with us. Like they want to try to recoup as much of that over 100 mil as possible. I think it's 120 they paid for him, but they're probably only going to get about 60, maybe 65, which is why like it's like you pay 15 mil for the loan fee now, and then be like, hey, we'll give you another, if we're interested, we'll give you another 45 million pounds, to take him off your hands. Like why wouldn't they take that for a quality player? And when he first moved to Atletico, he had all the rumors about being a bit lightweight, and he's improved, bulked up a bit. And listen, even though things haven't worked out with him and Simeone, some of that defensive mindset must have run off on him. And for him to add that with his technical ability, he's going to be a quality player. Like his technical ability is so good, he don't need to play with his back towards goal to be able to hold the ball up. Similar to oh my god, what's his name? He went to Newcastle but is currently injured.
Alexander Isak.
Similar to him in that just the ball at his feet, amazing. Creativity wise, like De Bruyne.
Sorry guys, do you like my little Gooners mug here? Yeah, I got that for Christmas present. Yeah, and I also, let me show you what else I got for Christmas. Because I know what you guys are like. Look at that, signed and sealed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Bukayo Saka. So I got that for Christmas as well. It's amazing what happens when you're Arsenal YouTuber, isn't it? So yeah, it's I agree with you, Neomis. I think that he's just such a polished player. Isn't it funny? You're talking about a guy who's on the international scale, plays for one of the top teams in the league.
Yeah.
Was has a value of 140 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're talking about that, and now we're comparing him against Mudryk. There's just no comparison.
Yeah,
it's just no comparison. So yeah, Jamzar, I would prefer Felix, if I'm honest. If the deal with Mudryk broke down, I wouldn't be heartbroken. I wouldn't be shedding any tears. I would feel sorry for the kid because he's got his heart set on coming here. And, Arteta has done so much work with Saka, so much work with Martinelli. He's now doing that work with Nketiah and Reece Nelson. You can see these guys coming up, man, and start balling out. So you can see like that he's just so good. We know that because of what happened in Manchester City when Raheem Sterling and De Bruyne and all of them guys was talking about Arteta training them and the way he took them to a different level. So we know all of that. We know all of it. But if you're Mikhailo Mudryk, you'd want to play for Mikel Arteta. You're dying to play for him. And that's what I'm saying. If this guy isn't wearing the Arsenal shirt on social media next 7 days, I'd be surprised. Andrew Daves said, Mudryk will fit technically at best into Arsenal. All front three attackers bought by Chelsea have failed to make an impact. There's more of a reason for him to come. There is. And like I said, I counted 12 players that Chelsea have currently now as attackers. 12. And if they bring him in, that would be 13 attacking players. And they're a mid-table team. So, yeah, it's it's just one of them things. Yeah, it's freezing out in North America, bro. Nimi says, all Chelsea do is throw money at players that do well to remember what they did to Southampton player that did well against them. I mean, it's desperate. It's desperation. They're desperate. They're not playing well. They've got a new manager. They don't know whether the manager's going to work out. They don't know whether any of the players they bought is going to work out. There's a ton of players. Havertz wants to leave. Pulisic wants to leave. Hutchinson from Arsenal, I have no idea what convinced him to leave and go there. I really don't. He's probably thinking to himself, what on earth did I do? I left Arsenal, which I could be playing for this week, yeah, especially against Oxford. I left Arsenal and went to this dumpster fire. I mean, you know, and not just him, Raheem Sterling. And look, guys, you know Raheem Sterling's related to me, his family. And every time I see the camera on him, he doesn't look happy. He's not smiling. He's not in a good place with Chelsea, and he must be gutted that he chose Chelsea. I mean, could you imagine if he was at Arsenal right now? And he's an Arsenal fan from my hometown, Wembley. So it's heartbreaking for him. I feel it for him. I really do. Raheem, we love you, bro. Andrew says Chelsea's ground in shambles for players' development. If Mudryk moves to Chelsea, he will find himself in a mud. Yeah, I mean, you only have to look at what's happened to the younger players there before. Lukaku and all them guys. Look what they've done. But how did it work out for Kevin De Bruyne at Chelsea?
Yeah. Salah.
Yeah, how did it work out for him at Chelsea? I mean, come on, man. Arsenal is more realistic, sensible for both club and the player. I agree. Gatti says, big up, matey. Morning, guys. Enjoying your show from Poland, Warsaw. Big up to you, bro. I never knew we had fans out there, man, down in Poland. I know I got a couple of about four or five subscribers from there. But yeah, subscribe to the channel, you guys, man. Everyone that's new to the channel, subscribe to 101. We love you guys. Always talk about what you say. We voice your opinions as well. That's why I have the tag Have Your Say, because we want to hear what you guys have got to say. We want to hear your opinions. You're as much about our community as we are. So that's the reason why this is a community-based channel. Go down in the chat, find out the Twitter links and also our Facebook links. I think we've got about 4,000 people on Facebook in our forums, and we talk that banter all day long. So go down and enjoy that. Patino is on loan, bro. Patino's on loan. So yeah. Andrew says loan deal for Felix is a better option. Yeah, it is. It is totally. Sanka says I prefer Mudryk all day. Well, not for that money though, bro. Not for that money. I mean, you ask any Arsenal fan now whether the money for Pepe was the right thing. Pepe was only valued at 40 million.
Yeah.
And you know, it was almost like, you know, when money is new to a club and you try and do foolishness to prove to everybody just that you can do it. Yeah. City did a lot of that. Santa Cruz, Adebayo, Robinho, Tevez. Yeah. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. City was just saying, look, we got more money than anybody else, lads. Look who we're bringing in. Yeah. That's, I think, and I'm a big Josh Kroenke fan. I think Josh Kroenke, since he's been in charge of Arsenal, we've just gone out of the stratosphere. Silent Stan didn't care about the club, didn't care about investment, didn't care about nothing. Since 2018, when Josh Kroenke took over this team, we have been flying. And we've had more money. We've spent more money in the last 3 years than any other team. Granted, that's going to change because Chelsea and United have just spent $250 million. and they're going to be spending some more. But my point is that I wouldn't throw away silly money on this guy, knowing that they have a plan. They already have a plan, remember. They already have a plan. So they've mapped out the players that they want, how much they're going to pay, and there's a reason why that they've shortlisted that type of money. Plus, it's not the Arsenal way to just throw money away. It's just not their way. Arsenal deal with real-life valuations of players. They always have done, and they always will do. And Arteta is Arsenal through and through. So, yeah, he's not going to mess around with that. Mr. Francis says, please, we want only Mudryk because the Gunners will be so hot to handle. Francis from Nigeria. Big up to Nigeria. I've got over 2,000 subscribers from Nigeria. So big shout out to you, my brother. And he says, Mudryk is the guy with goals. Look, we've got goals from everywhere. If you look at our platter, we got goals from everywhere. From Odegaard, from Saka, from Nketiah, from Jesus, from Martinelli, from Xhaka. We've got goals everywhere, bro. So, and that's what creates the chaos that I talk about. Remember, I used to say Man City used to call chaos. Man City are not calling chaos anymore. They're only getting goals from one player. And if they get goals from elsewhere, that's just a pot of luck from them. But with Arsenal, they share the riches. Yeah, Arsenal have got a plethora of riches, and you don't know where they're going to hit you. That's the reason why Newcastle was so scared of them when they came into the Emirates. They just thought, we ain't playing these guys. We're just going to sit back, try and frustrate them, and hopefully we nick a goal. They you know, what did Aaron Ramsdale do against Newcastle? Nothing. What exactly did Aaron Ramsdale do against? He didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing. Mimi says Felix is smarter because he can play in more places, but Mudryk can only play in one place. And what's the point of that? Yeah, I agree. It also says Felix is smarter deal because he can play. Yeah, I think we already read that. Renaud says, Renaud Christopher in the BVI, Mudryk is a must if we really want to finish top three. Yeah, if you buy Mudryk, you're not trying to finish top three, you're trying to win the league. You've had a conversation with the owners, you've convinced them to give you more money, even when they're in the red. Yeah, they've already outlaid more than what's coming in. And so to go back into them when they had the meeting with Edu and Arteta and convince them to give them another 100 million, that's some balls there. That's taken some guts. So the owners are happily backing us. Edu's got his hat on, and Arteta's doing the thing on the pitch. Andrew says Atletico Madrid is a far better club playing in a tougher league than Shakhtar, 100%. And we've got a good record with them as well. We've done good business with them. The only problem with Atletico is, and we've dealt with them many times, this happened with Griezmann, it's happened with Thomas Partey, is anytime you buy a player off them, they don't do additional years. It's money up front or nothing. They want cash up front or no deal at all. That's the only problem with them. That's the reason why a loan deal works. Yeah. Neomis, who would be your other plan B options?
Besides Felix?
Yeah, I mean, Ferran Torres, he's a 22-year-old. He played out wide and as a central striker as well. He could at least back up Eddie Nketiah. He spent 18 months at Man City. He was on the bench a lot for them. Scored 16 goals in 43 games with City. And I think he's got 12 goals with 46. When I look at all these, these goal stats, like 12 goals in 46 games, and then you look at Eddie, who scored 23 goals in 43 starts. That's nuts. Like, none of these guys, none of these guys could score goals like Eddie,
They don't know. Listen, everyone underestimates Eddie. Even when Jesus got injured, the amount of hate that I saw against Eddie, and I was like, what? Like, did everybody forget what happened last season? Like what?
And against Newcastle, Neomis, who was the closest to scoring against Newcastle?
Eddie.
Yeah.
All the pundits said that. Everyone was like, I think It must have been like Tony Adams that must have said, when a goalkeeper has to get down, when the ball comes through another player's legs, that's when you know that's a good shot. And like Eddie to be holding off the big 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" guys. Like,
I remember Eddie's 5'11".
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember how he was 3 years ago trying to hold the ball up and everything was bouncing off of him. He's able to hold his own now. Like he's fixed all of his weaknesses. Like Eddie's a good player.
Yeah, Andrew says, what are your thoughts about Ivan Toney? Would a bid price him away from Brentford?
No.
Okay.
No.
This is a really tough one because we're getting into Tony Cox territory here.
Oh, here he comes as well. I'd take him, but you know Brentford are going to ask for they're going to ask for a lot of money.
Yeah. The last for 70, 80.
Oh, man, no.
I mean, look, you got guys like Isak going for crazy money. Nkunku's going to Chelsea for crazy money. There's no way that this Ivan Toney will go for anything less than 70 or 80. Not a chance.
No, it's too much.
11 goals in 24 games. That's nearly Nketiah standards.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I mean, when I looked at, again, if you guys saw my video yesterday, you would have seen that I had the fantasy football points up on there. And Nketiah was ahead of Toney and all them guys. Nketiah's getting more points per game in the fantasy league than all of the other guys. He's averaging 5 points a game, which is more than Ivan Toney. But take no disrespect away from Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney is a baller. He's a baller. He scored 13 goals in all competitions, 11 in the league. Would he be what we need? He's probably he's a plan B. He's a bit one-dimensional for me because you can only play him up top. But what you could do is you could use him and just build a team around him because he can hold up the ball. He can hold the ball he can hold the ball like Harry Kane. Welcome, Tony. How are you? I wasn't
what's up, Tony?
I wasn't aware you was going to join us this season. I know Neomis hasn't seen you in a while, man. So it's good for you.
Hey, Neomis. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, man.
Yeah. So Tony, we were really just talking about the first of all, what happened at Newcastle and all of that, and we're really talking about Mudryk. We're talking about what should we do? Should we sit? Should we sit on that? Should we go in with another third bid and just do Pepe foolishness? This guy really hasn't played a lot of football. 20 games, really inexperienced. I think the 62 million that's been offered is fair money. It's fair.
Okay, can I give you what I think is actually happening? I think Arsenal have agreed a figure higher than 62 million, but it's broken down into payments. Yeah. So I don't know exactly how it's structured, but I think one of the key issues right now is basically how much upfront do you get. So it might be an £80 million deal, which blows out the Pepe deal, but it's structured at 50 and 30 or 55 and 25. And at the moment, there's an impasse between the two clubs because they're saying, give us a bit more. And they're
88 million, they're saying.
We want a little bit less to give a little bit less right now with more incentive or whatever. So to me, this is one of those Rafinha situations, actually.
Yeah, I said that earlier on in the stream. Yeah.
Because to me, I don't think, Chelsea could come in with 100 million. The player doesn't want to go there. Yeah, he has his heart set on Arsenal. Yeah. So it's up to Shakhtar to now say, okay, we know what needs to happen. We just need to agree the package and the split payments between ourselves and Arsenal. And they'll sort it. I am confident they'll get it sorted because Arsenal have had Vlahovic turned down. They had Rafinha turned down. I just think they can't now go, okay, that's gonna happen a third time. Because this guy fits our system. I would have loved to have had Cody Gakpo, but in the absence of him now, this guy is my go-to guy because he plays across the front three.
Yeah. I think what was different about Vlahovic and about Rafinha is we were shopping in a different transfer market. We weren't in the Champions League, and we were a team that wasn't guaranteed top 4. So the players we could attract them was very different. And you could see why, I mean, imagine us going in for Rafinha now. Rafinha would be on his knees to join Arsenal. But in last year's summer, he didn't, nobody saw this coming, guys. Let's be clear. Nobody said we'd be 7 points clear at the new year or 5 points clear now. Nobody knew that was going to happen. But if Rafinha knew that, he would be coming to join us now. Title contenders in the Champions League next year. People are talking about no team from this position has ever lost the league title. But you're talking about there's a 99.6% chance of us making the Champions League next season. So you're now in the market in the upper echelon. You're now talking to the big boys. You're now, look at what Mudryk is doing to try and get our attention. He lifting up his skirt. He lifting up his skirt. He twisting sideways. He's doing the hula. Yeah, he's doing all these kind of dances. He's doing a backflip. He's doing somersaults. He's spinning on his back, break dancing. He's doing all this stuff to try and get our attention. Yeah,
he has it. He has our attention.
Yeah, but that being said, I wouldn't be upset if the deal broke down, knowing that we could get Felix, because I think Felix is a better player.
No,
come on, Tony.
You're the only person who I know that thinks that Mudryk is better than Felix.
No. It's not that I think Mudryk is better than Felix, but the Felix money makes no sense.
Well, they'll come down on that.
If they come down, I mean, you got to think, how much have you got to come down? Because 19 million for a summer.
I talked about that.
6 months.
I talked about that. So 6 million is his salary, and 15 million is the loan fee. So it's 21 million. It's euros. So yeah, 90 million pounds.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, you're right. We compared it to, before you came on again, we compared it to Danny Ceballos, whose loan fee was 12 million euros in the first year.
But that was a whole year.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
This is a 6 months loan.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They need to come down on it. But then the player is valued at 140 million. You're talking about a player who's 140 million. So for
140 million who can't get a place in your team
because he doesn't get on with. So it's got nothing to do with his football ability.
So that alone tells you, if you're that desperate to get rid of him, you best cut your price.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. I said to Neomis, what we should do is take the Mudryk money, offer them 80 million for him, and just buy him out complete. That's what I would do.
Yeah,
I would do what I did with Odegaard, keep him for 6 months, and say, here you go, all the way to the summer. And then because look, he's had a falling out with Diego Simeone. They've had a big falling out because Simeone plays defensively, and Felix is an attacking style player. He's the Man City type of, Arsenal type of, Guardiola type of attacking player. And that's not how they're playing him. He argued about it, then they benched him, and he wants out. So there's no future for him there. I would use that situation and take advantage of it. And in the summer, I would say 80 million euros, here you go, job done. That's what I would do. I'd be cheeky with it, man. And I'd have a smile on my face while I'm doing it. Yeah, I'd have a smile on my face. So before you came in, we were looking at other options. By the way, Andrew says Mudryk or Toney. Oh,
it's a toughie.
It is because, guys, I said to you, we are if you buy an out-and-out striker, a point man, you're limited with what you can do with him because you've got Balogun coming back this summer. He banging in the goals. You got Nketiah, who now you have to be wondering, boy, am I going to drop Eddie? Even when Jesus comes back. Jesus can play on the left. He played 90% of his games for Man City on the left and was scoring goals. And what that does is that means that you can interlink Saka, you can interlink Smith Rowe, you can interlink Nelson, interlink Martinelli. You can play them everywhere because I want you. Look, guys, Arsenal fans, we're all here. Let's hug, group hug. Let's get out of the Arsenal mentality. Get out of that mentality. Take it out of your head. There is no left-sided player and right-sided player. That doesn't exist. If you guys watch NFL, yeah, and you know anything about running backs, we call them running backs by committee. In other words, there is no starting running back. Everybody gets touches, everybody gets the ball, everybody plays. And that's what Manchester City does. We saw that today when they beat Newcastle. 2 guys off the bench worth 160 million, Grealish and Mahrez, and they won the game for them. You all need to get out of your head this Arsenal mentality that Martinelli is locked in on the left and Saka's locked in on the right. Because if you're going to be a team that's going to challenge for the title, everyone has to play. That's just how it is, guys. Liverpool does it. Look at Liverpool's front players. Yeah. I named 12 players, attacking players for Chelsea before you came on the stream, Tony. I named 12 players. We're lacking. We need bodies. And the bodies doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be starting. Because you buy Mudryk, doesn't mean Martinelli ain't going to play anymore. It just means it's going to make us stronger as a commodity to win the title. So,
and you have options. You can't then say like you don't have an option on the bench at 60 minutes to take one player off, bring another player on, or even to change a system so you have another attacking player attacking a team with a different dimension, with a different speed. You know what I mean? So all these things play into the hands of a manager who has great tactical awareness.
Yeah, because I mean, for me, with Toney, with Ivan Toney, I'm too limited there because especially when I get Balogun back. So if I knew that I could buy Mudryk and he could do more for me, or Felix, I would take that option first. I wouldn't like to say no to Ivan Toney because I like him as a player. He holds up the ball well. He gives you a different option, but I don't know whether that option is something that Arsenal need. And before I go to Neomis, I'm going to tell you why. Because when Nunes came to Liverpool, he's kind of upset that balance. Well, Ronaldo came to Man United, he upset that balance. Haaland has come to City, and guys, he's breaking records. We all agree. But he's upset that balance because he doesn't link play. And they don't look, if you see that even tonight, last week against Brentford as well, against Everton, they look normal. They look normal. You got a good defender who can stamp him out. Koulibaly played him really well today, played him out of the game. So if you got a Saliba type player who can play him out of the game, you're looking for City to do more, and they're not doing more with the ball. Granted, their subs came on and made a difference today, but for the whole game, they weren't doing much. And so for me, if they gone into a situation where Ronaldo got into with Man United, where he just made them less of what they were the season before, I think so. I think that's a valid question. So for Ivan Toney, will he disrupt that balance that Arsenal currently have? Because I can't see him running the way Jesus and Eddie does. Coming all the way. If you saw how far Eddie was coming back into our own penalty area to help win the ball back against Newcastle. Jesus does that as well. Toney ain't going to do that for you. So I'm not sure if he's Arsenal, if he's an Arteta type. And like I said, we don't know where Nunes or Haaland's going to take Liverpool and Man City. But I just don't think that they fit that narrative. Neomis?
For me, I guess if the prices were exactly the same for both players, then between Mudryk and Toney, then no, you know what? No, I'm going to go to Ivan Toney because we're right here trying to go for the league, and I need proven ability. I need guaranteed, like, you can do something in the Premier League. And for me, Ivan Toney can do that. I agree with you in terms of, like, he is limited in that he's just a natural number 9. He's a striker. And, yeah, he works hard. But the flexibility that Mudryk will be able to have, like, on both wings and playing up front and probably just behind as well. But for me, at the beginning of the season, I always felt that we needed something else for goals, and we just needed one other player that could, probably someone a little bit more experienced that could just come in and give goals wherever needed. If Jesus ever get injured, and it meant that Eddie was going to get a little bit more taxed. So for me, it would be Ivan Toney, but I still wouldn't want to spend 80 mil on Ivan Toney. I just think that's just it's just too much. And the same thing goes with Mudryk. For me, 80 mil for unproven players, it's just no. I can't.
Let's go to what about you, Tony?
I think we have to start thinking we're the big boys now. We are at the top of the tree, and therefore we have to have big boy mentality. Big boy mentality also means big boy finance. Yeah. If you look at Man City, if you look at Chelsea, if you look at Man United, if you look at Liverpool, yeah, their bench is rocking 200 million. Simple as, yeah. Arsenal next year, Champions League, need to have a bench rocking 200 million. So whether you buy them now or you buy them in the summer, you need to have a bench rocking 200 million.
G says, how does that work though? I can explain that. What you guys have to remember is when Abramovich bought Chelsea and spent $500 million and they won 2 back-to-back titles, what happened to Chelsea as a club, as a franchise? What happened to them? Their earnings spiraled out of control. Their sponsorship quadrupled overnight. Their merchandise sales went crazy. They started discovering a fan base in America. They're big in America, Chelsea, by the way. They started getting a fan base in America, and everything blew up. Their Twitter account doubled overnight. What happened when Sheikh Mansour bought Man City? Look how many new Man City fans there is. Look how much merchandise they're selling. Look how much... guys, what I'm trying to say is this. You're asking questions as how does that work and how can we start to... Arsenal are in the red at the moment as far as money goes. We know that. We don't have any surplus cash reserves. That's all gone. Yeah, we're in the red. But if you win the league, a few things happen. First of all, your sponsorship, yeah, the shirt sales, all these things start to just quadruple overnight, and you start to become this commodity. You know, when you're in boxing and you win a title, they start throwing millions at you, millions that you never even saw before, because you're that guy. But Arsenal will become that guy. And that just means that everything that you do, everywhere you go, you're just accumulating a new, fresh, enthusiastic fan base, which, quite frankly, we haven't had for a while. You know, if you ask the average Arsenal fan now, yeah, not my age, Neomis' age, and you say to them, you know, what got you into Arsenal? You know what they'll say? Wenger and Thierry Henry or Vieira. That's what they'll say. What does that tell you? That tells you that when you're champions and you win things, you accumulate new fan base. Yeah. Why would you support a Tottenham who ain't won anything since 2008, and that was a League Cup? Yeah. Why would you support a Man United? Why would you support a Chelsea who's don't even look like they're going to be in the Europa League, let alone Champions League next year? So you've got all this stuff coming on that you're just accumulating new fans. And what does that mean? Revenue. So that's the reason why you're looking at this thing thinking you're on the train now and you've got to ride this train till the last station. And that's what's going to afford you to buy X amount of players, because your sponsorship and your TV revenue and everything just starts to blow through the roof. Neomis?
I agree. I think now is the time to go up and really just go all in. And I mean, kind of tailing back on what Tony was saying, even though I think let's say we win the league, money comes in, like next year will be a different year, and we do need to strengthen the squad, especially the bench, like for sure. Like we would need at least a couple like big name players. But I don't know. I think the owners Like, are they going to go stick with this self-sustaining model because we're in the red, we're getting ourselves even more in the red? Are they going to be thinking, okay, let's get ourselves financially back to a decent level and then invest, which means, yeah. See, I don't know. I don't know. But for me, the main thing is just it's a perfect opportunity to win the league. Like the last time that this has happened for Arsenal, for me, was when Leicester won the league. That was the perfect season for Arsenal to win the league. I think we finished second that season.
That's right.
And
So I just want to cut you for 5 seconds there. So if you guys wasn't aware of that, we know Arsenal are in the red, but the influx of new surplus cash is coming in next year, 2024. That's when the supposed deals were supposed to be up. But what's happened in between that is Adidas have now extended that league, that contract till 2030. So that's an extra 300 million on top of what we've got. So there's more money coming in. But next year, the Emirates Stadium deal rights will still be up in Rwanda. All that stuff is going to be finishing, and that's restarting. And this is why winning the title now would be so important, because everybody who runs at you now is going to have to come in with bare dollars. And that is what takes care of the debt. And they know this because they've already had talks with the banks, with the owners, with their sponsors. The sponsors are lining up, to get their names on Arsenal jerseys right now. And they know that's what's going on. And that's why they're spending all this money they don't have, because at some point it just comes back to you. Go on, Neomis.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, our first main goal should be to win the league. Like it's an opportunity that, like, as well as Arsenal are doing right now, these opportunities aren't going to come up a lot. And if you look at the past 10 years, like there's literally 3 teams, and 2 teams are like winning the league on a regular basis. Like it's one of those where like now is our time. Let's go and spend big now. Get it done. I want proven talent to be able to do so, not raw talent that in a few years might be good. And this is why I said I'd prefer the Joao Felix one. But if there's someone else that they can get to come in right now that's proven, like just get it done.
Scott asks, I would take Zaha, stick him on the left, and get Martinelli up front in an ideal world in the short term. And there's 2 things there. Martinelli ain't going to score you more goals than Eddie. Secondly, I believe that buying a Zaha would probably send out the wrong message, because he won't come cheap. But then look at Chelsea, look at Aubameyang, look at all the old and has-beens that they're bringing in, who they're going to be stuck with, quite frankly. United, speak to a Man United fan. They're just trying to get rid of all of their ones that they've been, the baggage they've been carrying around for the last few years. And that's no disrespect to Zaha. That's just not sending the right message out to the owners or to the fans that you're Arteta. Your plan has been to bring in a young, infused crop of players who are going to fulfill their potential and increase their market value further on. You got no market value with Zaha. You buy him, you're going to lose money on him, and then you're not going to get the kind of energy from, because he's in his what's he now, 30?
30.
Yeah. So
the thing with Zaha though is I believe his contract ends in 18 months, so he actually wouldn't be that expensive because of that fact. He's now running low on his contract. His age situation, as you mentioned, means that I honestly believe if Arsenal have the will, the price isn't going to be really obstructive from Crystal Palace, because they're not going to ask stupid money. They know, you know what, this could be his last hurrah. They've got a bunch of young players. Look at, they have a very, very, a very young team. And he's an older head in that team. I'm not saying I want him. I'm just saying I don't believe the price is actually going to be very restrictive for Arsenal if they wanted to go down that route. Can I also mention about Toney? If you look at all of our competition, if you look at all the best teams across Europe, you know, they all have a big striker. Yeah. You look at the way France play, you know, they love the fact that when Benzema or Giroud is playing, all their nippy players can run around, Griezmann, Mbappe, Dembele, etc. Like to have that big guy, that focal point, that fulcrum, where you can go run your nippy players all around and cause havoc, because the big guy, he's just going to be knocking over those two centre backs and causing them all kind of, you know, problems. And when you put the ball in the box, as in crossing it, he's also one of them guys that can get you that header. Now, to me, it's not Mudryk or Toney. It's got to be Mudryk and Toney. Because I want Arsenal to be looking at it from the perspective of, I need to have another player who can do what Martinelli does or what Saka does.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
I also want a player who can do what Toney does.
Yeah.
And
don't you think Balogun can do that?
Thinking to yourself, some people are going, oh, but what about Jesus and Nketiah and Balogun? None of those players is Ivan Toney.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I love those guys. Yeah. Great. Fantastic. However, none of those guys is Ivan Toney. So, yes, have Ivan Toney plus a plethora. Look at Liverpool. Firmino was that guy. And I sent you a video yesterday, Apollo. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it, but that guy did some serious analysis. And his final analysis said, the player Arsenal really need is Firmino. Yeah, and I had to look and go, that guy's a clever guy. Because he's played the press. He's played the big man. He's played the hold-up game. He's played the fast break. He could do literally everything that Jesus does. Yeah? And he wouldn't be a million, you know, stupid money.
Yeah,
because
wouldn't be
Liverpool
silly.
have loaded up themselves with a bunch of new players now. Yeah. But failing that, Ivan Toney to me is a guy who I would say, you know what, get him and Mudryk.
Yeah, I'm barely seeing Jota on the field for Liverpool these days. When was the last time I'm barely seeing him? Yeah,
seen him either.
Yeah, exactly. Brian says, unpopular opinion, I hear you people talk there, keep mentioning Toney, but how important is when Breno in that Brentford front? He's very important, mate. I mean, they didn't even have Toney the other day, and look what they did to Liverpool. So, yeah, why is nobody seeing this guy? And he's 22 years old. But he's signed to a 5-year deal, first of all. And but I do agree with your assessment. When everybody was talking about, and this is a 101 joke here that we run on the channel quite a lot. When everybody was talking about, let's buy James Maddison, I laughed and said, no, let's buy the guy who's going to replace James Maddison, because Leicester seem to be selling all these players to Chelsea and everyone else. And then they seem to get these backup guys from the academy that just balling out. So, you know, with Maddison, if he goes, you're just going to get another guy that's coming out doing madness. So, you know, let's buy his replacement.
Guys, can someone just tell me, I didn't watch the game today because I was at the gym. Did Aubameyang come on as a sub and get subbed?
Yeah, he did.
Wow, that's bad.
It wasn't bad in the sense, guys, because Raheem Sterling got injured after 4 minutes. So that they had no choice.
Okay.
So had that been the injury pre-game, he would have started. But he was useless. He gave nothing to that game. You know, it's funny because I remember when I talked about last year, in terms of starts, him and Lacazette started a combined 48 goals for Arsenal last season, both of them together combined, and scored 7 outfield goals. And Nketiah started 8 games and scored 5 goals. And it's just like the difference is, and I posted up on my one of my video uploads the other day, Nketiah's goals per minute per 90 versus Aubameyang and Lacazette. It ain't even close. It's not even close. What have we got here? We've got, if we get Felix on loan, we have to get a buy-in clause. No, actually, that's how it doesn't work. You can't have a buy-in clause because then you commit yourself to a player who may have a bad season. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What we did with Odegaard is there was no clause. We took him for 6 months. And then the player had cool off and we'd cooled off. And we know we liked him because of all the stats I showed you guys on his loan. And not just that, but when he came into the team, not just him, it was Smith Rowe as well. We went from the 18th most chances created to the 3rd. So to make that huge jump with a team that couldn't create nothing to one of the best in the league, just by having him, is a no-brainer. He knew it, we knew it. And I think that's what you have to do with this guy. This guy more so because his market value is he's 100 million plus player. So I think that you take the deal now while it's going. You hurry, you rush it through, and then you coax the player into the Arsenal way. You let him express himself. You see what he can bring to the team. Then you go back in the summer and then give them an because he doesn't want to go back to Athletic. That big bridge is burnt.
Yeah.
The relationship with the manager and the player is done, and there's no team that has come anywhere except for Man United. Except for Man United, they're desperate to replace Ronaldo, but then they've got Marcus Rashford. I know we've got Eddie Nketiah, but as I said, United's not a title. We are, so we need to share the spoils. So
United's need for a striker who's greater than ours.
It may be, but like I said, I mean they're looking at players currently. He's not their only player. Whereas with us, apart from Ferran Torres, he would be the first option, no doubt about that. Neomis?
I'm not a Ferran Torres fan. To be honest, I think we should pass with him. I'm all on board on the Joao Felix one, and I'm curious to see what happens over the next 3 weeks. If there's some other options, I've heard of, was it Marcus Thuram being thrown around as well. We need to get someone in. At least that. I know people are also talking about the Thomas Partey as well. But my feeling is that they're probably waiting for the summer with that because El Nene's contract runs out at the end of this season, right? So my guess is that they'll probably go and bring someone in that they're probably already scouting right now for that one. So I'm not worried about that. I think El Nene could do a job until then. I have enough faith in him.
Do you think they pulled the plug on Yuri Tielemans? I mean, we've been talking about it for the longest.
Oh, yeah. No, I think they're going to wait till the summer and get him on the free. They're going to wait.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah. You could bring in Yuri. And
Leicester desperately need to keep him. They desperately need to keep him because they're in a relegation battle, so they need to keep him. Yeah. Which just basically means, we do get him in the summer on a free if he chooses to want to come.
Yeah. Eric said Jota is injured and out for the season. I didn't know that. So I know that's mad. Thanks about that one. Brian says you can't just take Felix on loan. You need a buy-in attached to the clause. If he plays well, Atletico will sign him to the ice bidder. There's a couple of things there. First of all, there's no clause there because they're desperate to get rid of him. When you put clauses in like that, then it turns teams away. They're not putting it in because they want him to be more attractive to get rid of him before this January system ties up. Another thing that you have to be aware of, and this is the real deal breaker here, a lot of reasons why Premier League clubs find it hard to sell on their players is because of one thing, the wages. The wages is the biggest sticking point for teams in Italy, Germany, Spain, any other country because of the sheer amount of money that these teams make. Now, it's well known that the Premier League has the highest wage count in world football. It just does. Felix signed a deal of 300,000 a week. And I can't see a team that would be out there that be willing to pay his, and that's why I said in that 21 million, 6 million of that is his salary in that loan deal. So there's a lot of turnover, and it's the reason why nobody's come calling. Yeah,
I can't see how they move him. And the question
teams
I
don't
just
need
wanted
strikers,
to ask,
Tony.
Yeah,
they don't.
The question I also wanted to ask was, I'm pretty certain he has a similar buyout clause, the same as Thomas Partey, where you don't even have to worry about how much he is. Trigger the clause, boom, and he's gone. Because remember how Arsenal did it? We waited, and then when the time came, we just went, okay, trigger the clause, he's gone. Atletico Madrid didn't even have an option to say goodbye because he was gone.
Yeah, I mean, we've got. Yeah, I agree with you, Tony. We've got Tony C is absolutely right. Arsenal need to make a huge statement. Yeah, we can all agree. You've got. It's not one player that's going to fix this or win you the league. You need to. We're short, man. We're short, and I know we got 3 guys coming back: Nelson, Smith Rowe, and Jesus. But we're short. If Thomas Partey gets injured again, what are you going to do? Nimi, what's your opinions on Jesse Lingard? Neomis, you go first on this one.
No. Listen, I like Jay Lings, but no. He should have gone to West Ham when he had the opportunity to. Like he thought too much about the money instead of football, and that it's fine.
Yeah, for me, he's 30 years old. He's too old. He's not. If he was 23, 24, I can see what Arteta and Edu are doing. They're building this team. If they sell Balogun, Nuno Tavares, Kieran Tierney, Sambi,
Pepe.
And he weren't their guy though, was he? And he's on loan anyway, so he's gone anyway. But if they sell any of these guys, these commodities, let's call them, because that's what they are, they're worth money, then they've made a mint. They've made a profit. So, and that's what you want to do in a football club. You've seen Spurs sell Gareth Bale. Eden Hazard, Chelsea went for 100-odd million. Coutinho went for 140 million. You've seen how the big clubs do it. You know, Sterling and Jesus was 100 million in City's pocket. You've seen you're not going to learn anything from a 30-year-old player. That's why I wouldn't do the Zaha deal. I get what Arsenal are doing now. You buy smart. You create that platform where you can start to earn money, and then get that commodity type of thing going, and then bring money into the club. And at the moment, you're not going to do that with Zaha. You're not going to do that with Lingard. And for those reasons, I just don't think they fit the club's values. I really don't. James, big shout out to James. James said, hello, 101. Andrew says, Jesse Lingard is a gamble Arsenal cannot afford. He's cementing a spot in a struggling, not in a fight. That is why he signed for them, is just foolishness. That's his fault. Make him stay there and die. Yeah, that's just his fault. He's gonna get relegated with them, and yeah, that's just a silly decision. It shocked everybody. That James says random one, but cover for Jesus. What about Durpay? You know what? I don't think that's bad, but it's that's a little bit like the Ferran Torres deal. So I don't think that's the worst option in the world. I really don't. He's out of contract in the summer. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I mean, I put that on the forum the other day. A lot of people didn't like it, some did. But you're just talking about a guy who can come in and fill in. He knows he's not going to start. You know, you're not going to get in there in front of Eddie Nketiah. You're just not, because Arteta loves Nketiah, and Nketiah's got himself a big, huge fan following now. It's like people believe in Eddie now. Yeah. So bringing someone in to just drop Eddie to the bench, I think that will upset a lot of people, including the player. It would be good competition for Eddie, but then you just have to look at the goals per 90 minutes. Eddie's just going to keep scoring. It's all he does. Brian says Memphis salary might be a stumbling block. Yeah, same thing I said about who was the player we were just talking about with the crazy salary? Felix. Yeah. And Felix would have to do something with that salary. If he comes to Arsenal are going to have to pay him offer him about 250K a week, which ain't going to be an issue, because Martinelli, Saka, all these guys are walking into 200 grand a week now. So that's just, guys, Premier League champions. That's just the going rate. That's how much. That's the game. James is saying, just thinking though, they can also play on the left. He's similar to Jay Juice. Yeah, he is. I agree. Andrew said Dupé's Aubameyang 2.0. Without the 350 grand a week though. And Nimi says Lingard gets paid loads. He is injured most of the time. He doesn't do much. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to learn anything from him. And like I said, no resale value. So guys, listen, Neomis, so what's your overall thoughts? Also, do you think that it's fair to sit on Tielemans until the summer and get him on a free?
Yeah, I think Arsenal, if you had asked me this last season, I would have said that like we should have gotten him. But now with Arsenal's performance this season, I mean, what more do you have to do to convince a player to come to you when, like, listen, even if we don't win the league, like, we're challenging for the league. Like, we need you. Like, come. You know, like, I think we've shown enough progress from the time we've been speaking to Tielemans to say, hey, come. You know, El Nene's contract is run. Like, he's going to get games, like, either way. And we're going to be playing Champions League football. So I think that they should wait. So unless it's like a Barcelona or a Real Madrid that come in that are, or Bayern Munich that are like, yeah, we'll take you and we're going to offer you more money. I see us getting him quite easily. So I think that's fine. And just in terms of everything else, I think Arsenal just they need to bring someone in. I think we need to go and win the league, because as soon as the Europa League starts coming around again, that's where players going to start dropping in terms of injuries. And we already see that, whether you like it or not, Arteta doesn't quite trust some of the players that are on the bench. You know, the Fabio Vieiras of this world. He, you know, like you said at the beginning of the stream, like they could have come on, but he wasn't that interested. So yeah, it's something has to be done.
Yeah, Andrew's mentioning Calvert-Lewin. He's asked about Everton striker Calvert-Lewin. No,
forgot about him.
Wow, not for me.
I mean, if they get relegated, then that might give a conversation. But no. No. You know, Arteta said we want to bring in players that's going to improve the club. He ain't going to improve the club.
Yeah.
If you seriously, guys, if you had a choice between Calvert-Lewin and Eddie Nketiah, who would you choose? That's not even close, is it? It's not even close. You know, you got a guy that people are saying, you know, is going to be, well, I'm saying is going to be the next Andy Cole. I heard someone talking about, you know, this guy could develop into an Ian Wright player. I wouldn't go that far, but for me, he's a poacher. He's an Andy Cole, Dwight York guy. He's going to be around the box. He's going to score goals. He's going to give the opposing defense a nightmare. He's never going to stop running. He's going to be 100% committal. And I don't see Calvert-Lewin doing that. I don't see it. I just don't see it. C6 Smith says, what's your verdict on Mudryk? Should we get him or let him go to Chelsea? We've been talking about this for the whole show, and the consensus is that he's not worth the money that they're asking for him. And if you're going to be spending that money, I would throw it in Felix's direction. Felix is a world-class, renowned player. This guy, Mudryk, Tony's got his opinion. This guy, Mudryk's played less than 20 games. He's an inexperienced player. He's not even, people talk about Pepe. Pepe was more experienced than Mudryk. Pepe scored 23 goals and 11 assists before he came to Arsenal. This guy has got 20 professional games at the top level. 20. And you're not, you know, Cody Gakpo for me was that guy. He was that guy that was, you know, 40 million, great business, play all across the, you know, made his name at the World Cup, played us off the park. We couldn't handle him when we played him in PSV. You know, he's got over 100 games already to his name. This guy, Mudryk, he's a pup. He's a pup. And what you're paying, what you're offering...
You say he's a pup,
he's a pup.
He played 2 seasons in the Champions League, which Gakpo hasn't. He's also been a player of the team. Shakhtar Donetsk are no scrubs. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Who's
scared?
No.
Who's scared of them?
Hang
Who's
on,
scared of playing Shakhtar Donetsk?
Sorry?
Who's scared of playing Shakhtar Donetsk?
But are they playing Champions League, bro?
Yeah, but who's scared of them?
Hang on, but they're playing Champions League where PSV are playing Europa League.
Yes, I agree, Tony. But what I'm saying is,
so which competition is bigger, bro?
No, I'm talking about the team he plays for.
The team he plays for, I'm sorry to say it, bro, but you seem to be diminishing the team that has produced for you Felix, has produced for you Willian. I mean, the list of names that have come out of Shakhtar Donetsk is ridiculous. It's like Ajax, yeah? It's a factory for talent. And this guy has been their best player for 2 seasons, and they've qualified and played to decent levels in a Champions League for 2 seasons. So I don't know where you're going with this.
He's not, Tony. Yeah, I get that you're bigging up the player. He ain't worth 88 million. Sorry, not on any planet in this universe.
88 million, but the point is, they're sitting on a gem, and what you're paying for is potential. And all you have to do is look at his highlights. He quite clearly is capable of a lot of quality things that make his value go. I can see why they want to get the top dollar for him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, if you gave me the choice between Felix and Mudryk, that's not even close. It's not even a conversation. It really isn't. I couldn't even put them in the same. I couldn't even put them in the same ballpark, and it was still talking about potential. I mean, could you imagine if Felix, and you're talking about highlights? This guy's ball control. Could you imagine having Jesus and Felix on the same team? 2 guys, 2-footed, that with ball magic control. It's like you're playing FIFA, where the ball don't come off your foot and it's just sticking at your feet. You know, and look, Mudryk's got a lot to offer, and he's got a lot of upside. But that is what it is. It's upside. It's something that you're like you said, you're buying potential.
You are.
Felix is a sick player. He's one of the top young strikers in world football right now.
And he's sick, and he's sick money.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, use that. Guys, when we bought Cazorla, Cazorla was a £50 million player which had the Real Madrid bid rejected from Malaga. And because Malaga was brought to UEFA sanctions, they had to raise money fast. And Arsene Wenger, sneaky old Wiley Fox as he is, got him for 12 million. Yeah, that's what's happened. Yeah, that's a truth.
Arsene Wenger.
Yeah. But guys, look it up. Do your research. Malaga rejected a £50 million bid from Real Madrid 6 months before we bought Cazorla. Yeah, so we got a steal. And right now with Felix, there's a capability there to get a steal. There's another capability to get a steal. I would take him in and see Aguan. Hold on, go back. Says, I appreciate your opinion. I can agree with you there. Should we maybe reinvest our interest in Vlahovic? Rumored to be unhappy.
Juventus need the money.
I really like Vlahovic.
Juventus need the money. They're strapped for cash.
I really do like this guy. I think this guy is Haaland 2.0. That's how much I like this guy. You know what? I'd probably still take Felix though, because I can do more with Felix. I can play him. I can do more with Felix.
No.
With Vlahovic, he's just. We're going back to the Ivan Toney situation where you're one-dimensional and you're a plan B. Guys, you don't know. I'm so heartbroken losing Cody Gakpo, because you could have done so much with the player, playing him in so much variety spots. But look, that's a good shout, man. If the opportunity came, I would definitely look at it. And if it was somewhere around the 60 million or 50 million mark, I would pull the trigger. Brian says, I'd rather go for Rafael, Leo, that Felix, if we're going to chuck at £80 million. But is Rafael worth 140 million though? That's what I'm saying. That's what Felix went for. Felix is that guy. He's a sick player, man. If he came to Arsenal, man, it would just change everything. Andrew, come on, Andrew, what are you smoking, man? You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle went in for him. It's one of them things, bro. He's like, what is he on? 500 grand a week? Nah, that's some madness there, Andrew, man. That's some Madru right there. As C6 says again, quite impressed with Juve being in debt. I haven't had any big teams sniffing around Chelsea. Yeah, Chiesa. He'd be unreal under Arteta. Yeah, there's a lot to do here, man. There's a lot to do, guys. But listen, guys, closing comments. I don't want to keep you. It's already midnight midnight here in London. It's early time for Neomis up in Canada. What's your closing comments, Neomis?
We need to go out and get the business done. We need to go all out and go win the league, because there is no better opportunity to do this. Like, top 4, as far as I'm concerned, in another 7-8 games, will be secured. So we don't have to worry about Champions League football. Let's go and win the league. So I know we're talking about money, but let's just get it done. That's all I care about. Get it done. Win the league. Make the fans happy.
And look, you're a few days into January and already we're showing that passion and that commitment. That's nice, isn't it? You know, it's not like the Wenger days where you're just sitting and you can hear crickets chirping in the back garden and there's, come on, man, we need help, we need reinforcements, and you're not hearing nothing at all. Every day you're hearing something that's in the news, and it's nice to see that those guys have got their head together in the front office. Tony, what's your thoughts? What would you like to see, Tony?
We have to pull the trigger early. This cannot go on till the last day of January. We have got big games going on. This is a bit of a lull with the FA Cup this weekend, to be honest. Just a little bit.
I told Neomis before you came. Do you know what I said to him?
Go on.
We got no one coming in for a centre back. We've got no one coming in to replace Nketiah. And we've got no option against Oxford on the left. We're thin.
Okay, centre-back options, you've got Rob Holding and Tomiyasu.
Well, you haven't, because Cedric Soares at the moment is there. I did say to them, there's been
centre-back? Did you say centre-back?
No, I think if Soares goes to Fulham, which is what we're hearing at the moment now, then Tomiyasu plays on the right.
You said centre-back, so I'm looking at Holding and...
Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu wouldn't be there if Soares goes.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. This is why we need numbers.
Yeah, El Nene, Sambi in the middle. At the number 8, Fabio Vieira, Smith Rowe's going to come in at the 10, or you can switch them around. On the right, you've got Marquinhos, but then no left and no up front, which means you're playing Eddie again.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
No, they can't play Eddie again. That's a game. That's a nothing game. I'd rather just give it up and just take the 3-0 and wait for the next Premier League game and let these players rest. We ain't got time for Oxford United.
I'm with you, Neomis.
No, we're trying to win the league.
Just play your best under 23 player, and to be honest, there ain't nobody there. Because even our best under 23 players are out on loan. I know
John Jules.
Aziz. You know they record Miguel Aziz, so he's back. But with Tottenham coming up, I'm resting everybody, bro. Yeah. I'm resting everybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You got Fulham are messing around with Soares, but if they can get that done, they messed around with Bert Leno as well. That's some foolishness. That was 10 million for.
Have you mentioned, by the way, the foolishness that Chelsea just tried to deal with Benfica? Because I hear a lot of people saying, Chelsea are clearly going to gazump Arsenal for Mudryk, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. Chelsea ain't really operating in a manner which would make Shakhtar Donetsk just go, let's just sell to Chelsea.
Yeah,
because
I know.
Look at what's just happened. The
I
player
know
that Chelsea really
I know,
wanted,
120 million. Yep.
They messed up the deal. The manager came up and said, fund these clowns. They don't know how to do business.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the reason why I think what I think that's going to happen is, especially with the noise coming out of camp today. Did you hear the latest on Mudryk, Tony?
As far as I'm concerned, it's a done deal. I'm really convinced it's a done deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to go down to the wire. I just think
it boils down to how much you're willing to do, in terms of the upfront payment.
They're not going to change it.
Personally, I just think pull the damn trigger, because we need the guy in the squad, training with the squad, ready to sit on the bench for Spurs.
Yeah. I agree, man. I agree. Babu, it's nice to see you, man. Chelsea, a panicky club, they close. It's nice for you to join us. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button on this video, man. I really appreciate everybody coming onto the stream. It's a late one today. I do these Thursday night late ones sometimes because Neomis, that's the day that he has off, so we can get together. Tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have the Premier League show, which, Tony's baby. So we'll be able to talk about all of the results. Babu says, if Shakhtar are playing hard, we should get Felix. Yeah, 100% agree, bro. 100% agree.
It's not like it's a cheap deal, though. Because when you look at the metrics in terms of money, Joao Felix is more expensive than Mudryk.
And rightly so. Yeah.
Because if you're saying, oh, Mudryk is too expensive, Joao Felix is twice as expensive. Because you know what you're doing with Mudryk. You spend 80 million, you got a 5-year deal. Yeah? You spend 20 million with Joao Felix, you got 6 months.
Yeah.
The maths ain't mathing.
Yeah, I mean, we have simple. To see. Thank God.
Turning up and saying, "Oh, Mudryk is too expensive," and then saying, "Let's just do Felix." It don't make no sense. Your maths ain't mathing.
It isn't, but I mean, you've got to play with the card that you're dealt in this situation. It's poker now. Everybody's waiting for the first guy to show their hand, and unfortunately, that's why I think because of the director of Shakhtar and the games he's playing, I think he's dragging it out. He's the one that's going to drag it out. And for Arsenal, they need bodies now. Like, you've got big games coming up now. In 10 days, we're taking on Spurs. And then you've got, Man United. And you need players now. Yeah. So this is, for me, like, that's just really ticking Arsenal off. If I was Edu, I would not be a happy man. If I was Richard Garlick, I would be furious about what's going on now, because you've more than enough offered them what the player's worth. And they're still, they're well within their rights.
As you said, the geezer is pulling up his skirt and twirling around. He's working out in his gym in the hotel, which I'm pretty certain a lot of people have said that hotel's in London. So
yeah, because he's not at their training ground.
Right. So for me, you know what? Get the guy on the training pitch, bro. Let's get this deal done. Let's stop messing around. Do it in the next 24 hours, so that the psychological effect of bringing in names like that, it's massive.
Yeah, it is.
The lift that the whole squad gets from knowing you got another killer in the team. Oh, really?
That would give them, that's beer energy coming back to the boys at the Emirates, man. Guys, thank you very much for joining me, Neomis. It was so good seeing you, man. I hope that you've got some time for us next Thursday as well. Just let me know when you're available, man, and then we'll get back on and we'll do another update as well. Guys in the chat, love you like cook food. Thanks for supporting the channel. I've noticed there's another 20 subscribers on for tonight's stream. So thanks to all of you guys. Looking forward to giving you some nice content. And I'll keep you guys buzzing with the transfer news, yeah? Peace out, everybody, man. Listen, let's get this done, man. Let's get this done. Big up, everybody.
Arsenal.
Yes, come on.
Allez,